What's up, y'all? This is Hussein Nasser from iGeometry. Today we're going to discuss domains. So, the concept of a domain, or to be specific, a coded value domain in a geodatabase, it's basically a list of a coded value dictionary, if you can look at it this way. So you'll have a list which will have a code, could be anything, right? This code will have a value, like a type. Basically, it's an integer string, and then that code can have a description or a value to it, right? Or a name in general. So let me give you an example of this. Just the best way of doing these things is doing an example. So I went ahead and I created a domain here. If you right click on your geodatabase, you go to the domains, and I created one domain here. It's called the restaurants types. So the description of this domain is the types of restaurant. So if you go ahead and look at this, so that each domain will have a type, a field type. So if you, for example, this particular domain has to be assigned to a short integer field. So what is an example of usage for this is like, okay, you want your restaurants to be, you want your table to have different text values, but you don't want to store strings. You want to display these values, these descriptions, these names, but you want to physically store these values, these integer. There might be a lot of reasons for it. And some reasons, like these numbers represent something, some different code in your domain, in your major. So another usage for this is basically database storage and performance. Like, and instead of storing strings, you have to store integer, which is far much more efficient in storage, and retrieving and writing these is much easier than dealing with strings. So what we do is we store these, but we display these, right? So hope this makes sense. All right, so in this case, I have a domain here, and I have these values, and I have these coded value domains. So I want to write simple code to open that workspace, the geodatabase, get that restaurant domain name, and then after that I'm going to loop through these values. Very simple code. All right, let's do that. Let's try to do that. Let's close that. So I have here an ArcGIS add-in button that I created. I'm going to reference here the code or the episode we did to create a button. It's very simple. And when you create a button, this is the first code I'm going to write. Right? Our workspace factory equal file geodatabase workspace factory. This is a different approach than we normally get the workspace. Usually we add one layer and then we get the workspace from that layer. That's an easier approach. Another approach is to use directly you open that workspace. If you know it's a file geodatabase, you use this factory to basically quote unquote factory to open that workspace. If it's an SDE, you use different workspace and so on. You use different workspace factory. So there are different things. That's why I don't like to use it, because the first approach, if you get it from the layer, you get it, right? You just get a workspace. So that's the generic approach. I don't care how did you end up there. I don't want to write different kind of code to co-create a workspace, if that makes sense. All right, so this is an approach. I'm going to open it from file. This is the path to my geodatabase, and then you just pass the handle of the Windows application. All right, once I get this, really easy. You will declare workspace domains, the workspace domain, and you'll cast it to your workspace. Really easy stuff. This will give me the ability to open different domains. Like, so get domain by name. And then Yeah, you're gonna give it the name of that domain. What did we call it? Restaurants type. Restaurants type or restaurant types. I don't remember. Maybe it will be a good idea if we open that project again. I don't remember the name of the domain. So once we get that domain, you give it the name of the domain and you will get back an iDomain interface. Okay. And I'm going to cast it. Since I'm working, I know this is a coded value domain. I'm going to declare a coded value domain interface. Because there are two types of domains, ranged and coded value domain. Coded value domain is basically the one we are discussing today. So what are you called, buddy? What are you called? Restaurant types. Copy paste. Restaurant types. Oh, we could have got an error there. An embarrassing crash or something. God forbid. Alright, now we're gonna loop through that domain coded value. To do that, do for integer I equals 0, I is less than p domain dot code count minus 1, then I plus plus. That's a simple loop, right? So what we do is basically, I will do a message box for simplicity, right? So let's say, what, code equal p domain dot value of I, and then let's add a new line, and then for each value, right, give me the name or the description. These are terrible names, by the way. It's like value and name, but there it says code and description, so it's very confusing. That's why someone had to write some code. Alright, so I want to have like this, yes, call this a description. Even I'm not sure really which is which, so we'll have just to compile and see for ourselves. Build, do we have any errors? So this will be message box, will message box us. Let's compile again. What are you doing? Can't find ArcMap anymore? And you can do a lot of things. Like now we are looping and displaying a message. You can populate a drop-down list. You can do all fun. You can populate your own class, and that's my favorite object-oriented stuff. Convert this class into a beautiful object-oriented design. All right. So what do we do? That's my button, by the way. Working with coded value domain. And you click that. First value, the code is 0, and the value is bar. Code 1, cafe. 2, restaurant. You notice that we had a fourth one, but we stopped for some reason. That's just odd, right? We had a third. I don't know why we didn't manage that. Thinking we should, yeah, that's the problem. I less than code count, no minus 1. So we kind of killed the last value. Let's just take a look now. All right. We got the diner finally. All right. So you can create fields. Basically, you can create a table here, and then let's go ahead and show you something here. So now I'll go to this feature class, and I'm gonna create a value called restaurant. It doesn't make any sense. A line is not a restaurant. Please give me a point or something. For this point feature class, I'm gonna create something called restaurant code, right? And when I select short integer, I will have the ability to select that name because we only list domains that matches this. All right. So if I change this to GUID, obviously GUID doesn't have this. If I change to long integer, I don't longer see that domain value. Makes sense, right? So you go ahead, select type. Now you can create a feature. Let me show you just how domains work, right? How about that, actually? Right? You would think, right? So we just created an attribute. That's what I'm talking about. See, so when I select bar, the actual value the actual value stored is 0, not bar, physically in the database. So that's the only difference, really. And you can get the domain using another approach from the feature class itself. So from the feature class, you can get the field, and then from the field, you can ask for its domain, and then you have the same approach again. You have a domain, you work with it the same way we did. So you can get a domain by directly or get it from the feature workspace or feature class. All right, guys, that's it for me today. Hope you enjoyed this one. See you in the next one. Goodbye.